Hi, I'm Jane Cho of Lifeology, your personal transformation coach. Using astrology as a really important tool to guide you and support you in the understanding of co-creation. So before I get into the shifting of the lunar nodes and explaining what it is, I just wanted to give a little bit of background as to why I believe that astrology can be so supportive and so helpful, and how come I am always including it in my weekly content, and especially if you do any form of coaching with me, how it becomes important and why I make you so aware of what's happening energetically around us. It's not because the energies are ruling and controlling us. It's because it gives the potential and the options that we have according to the alignment of energy. So I don't do any kind of fortune telling. I don't ever say to you, this is definitely going to happen. I do not fall into the realm of sitting with an astrology chart and saying, you are destined for this and you are destined for that. I will definitely say, according to your exact time of birth and the traits that you have and the placement of your planet or your node, this is the potential of what could come up for you. But then the power of choice becomes the greatest gift that all of us have. Even when I do tarot, there's always falling into the realm of we are absolutely free choice at the end of the day. And everything has a whole lot of paths and avenues that we can take. The astrology helps to define the energy. So the planets will give us the energy. The nodes that we're going to talk about today give us the energy that's going on. And the houses will definitely show us the area in life that things are happening, which can become very supportive. So that's one thing that I just wanted to share. I know a lot of people approach me and say to me, can you tell me what's happening with the energy? How's it going to impact me this week? When am I going to find work? When am I going to meet someone? That is not the way that I proudly use astrology. I gift it to you. I have gifted it so much to myself in the depth of understanding of the layers and layers of potential of who we are. So that's how I wanted to start all of this. Now we're going to jump into understanding the impact of the lunar nodes that have just shifted. And they shift every 18 months. What are the lunar nodes? So it's mathematical points. It's where the moon does its whole route around the earth. It becomes the ecliptic of the 2 points. We're always looking at the south node and the north node. They are always opposite each other. So that's important to note. At the time of your birth, it's important to try and get as close to your time of birth as possible so that we can see where the nodes would be sitting in your chart at that time. And if we understand the houses that it's sitting in, then the moon nodes can give us some very valuable, powerful, helpful information. So we have our personal shifting of the nodes. We have to watch where they are for us. And then every 18 months, the nodes shift. They are always moving anti-clockwise. So the nodes will move from the star sign, the zodiac before, and then go into the one before that, whereas all the other energies are moving the other way around, except if a planet is in retrograde, and it does happen to, for a little while, pop back into the planet that it came from. So what are the nodes? We always look at the south node and the north node, the 2 points of this ecliptic of the moon. The south node tells us what we need to brave leaving behind. So depending on what you believe, it can either be what you will have brought in from other lifetimes, or it can be purely in this lifetime what you picked up when your ego was forming from the youngest memories that you have up until 7 years old. That's when the ego really starts to take every trait and tests every trait that you have. And then from that 7 onwards into your mid-20s, it's really developing and seeing what of those memories that you have do you then manage to hold on as self-worth, where you use the traits in your highest esteem, and what the ego manages to hold on to. So the South Node tells us the past, and it tells us what we need to let go of. And because we're dealing with the moon, the nodes of the moon, we're talking about the emotional work that we need to do. So it becomes very helpful when you understand your nodes to understand what emotional work needs to be released because of where the South Node is situated. Then, when we look at the North Node, opposite, we are looking at what you need to brave. What do you emotionally need to brave in order to move your life forward, get yourself into a place of happiness, fulfillment, and joy? Where do you need to take responsibility for showing up? So another way of looking at it is that the South Node can be a lazy place to emotionally stay. We can just stick to keeping ourselves small, not having to dig too deep. If we ignore the work and we don't brave certain things and we don't emotionally get into uncomfortable situations and patterns, we will then be staying in that South Node energy. So when we understand the nodes, it can be really helpful to see where you emotionally need to show up and become braver. The North Node is definitely what you need to give yourself the gumption and the willpower and the courage and the confidence to do. Once again, the reason why I rely so much on astrology in the transformation coaching is because then we don't have to go through a process of guesswork. Once we've run that astrology chart and we can see where the nodes are, then we understand what emotional work needs to be done. We aren't here to float around for our entire lives trying to patch our life together with guesswork. We actually have a beautiful handbook, and that handbook is at that exact moment of time of your birth. So with all of that being said, we have just had the nodes shift from Gemini Sagittarius into Taurus Scorpio. And this is a dynamic shift for us because we are stepping out of this air energy that we've really been sitting in, a lot of having to process through the head and so much expression that needed to be done and all this communication aspect that's been going on for so long. And we now move into a much more earthly, grounded Taurian North Node energy. So the South Node is Scorpio and the North Node is Taurus. So from what I've said earlier, then the understanding is that we need to do the South Node work of braving, letting go of some of the Scorpio aspects, and then finding the confidence to step into the bigger picture of the Taurian energy that we're really being called to play around in, which is such a beautiful energy. Also, it's important to note that there are eclipses at that time. So we have lunar eclipses and we have solar eclipses. So when we are in the lunar and solar eclipses, there's the 30th of April, we have a solar eclipse. The 15th of May, there's the lunar eclipse. Then the 25th of October, we have the next solar eclipse. And then the November the 8th, we have the next lunar eclipse. And all of those then sit within these aspects of the nodes. And when the eclipses come about, it gives us another level of opportunity to dig into ourselves, to see into the shadow, and to really honor the work, the emotional work that we get to do at this point in time. So let's look at understanding the Taurus and the Scorpio nodes and where they sit and who it's going to impact, because it's going to impact people very differently. So if you have Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, or Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, then you are going to be impacted quite intensely by the nodes. Also, Taurus is the ruler of the second house and Scorpio is the ruler of the eighth house. So if you take your chart and you look at where Taurus, what is Taurus governing? What area of your life is Taurus governing? What area of your life is Scorpio governing? And then what is happening in your second house? And what is happening in your eighth house? You will get a clear understanding of what the emotional work needs to be over the next 18 months. If you want to go through a process and really get into the depth of it, then please go ahead and reach out to me. You can book a transformation coaching session, and we will do it in that transformation coaching session. If you have your astrology chart and you know where your signs are, where your nodes are. Otherwise, you can book an astrology with me. And that is a real in-depth look at your birth chart and understanding your soul contract and your shadow work through your exact moment in time of birth. But those are the different places that we really need to look into at this time. So what's important is to understand what's going to happen with the Scorpio energy and with the Taurus energy. Okay. So what we're looking for is that there's going to be a big shift into understanding what we value. That's what's going to become important. So we've just come out of this Gemini Sagittarius energy where it's what do I think and what do I feel and how do I express it? But this Taurian Scorpion energy calls for us to really look at what do I value? What is important to me? And every aspect of value is going to come up. So it's going to be financial value, relationships that you value. Do you value yourself? Do you value others? It's really going to bring to the spotlight the places where you get to come out of your head and bring yourself down to earth and have a look at all of the things that are material and tangible, as well as the things that you hold closest to you, that you really want to put worth into, becomes very important with that. It's so important to get into your current truth. And that's what Scorpio is going to call us to do. So the South Node shows us what we need to let go of. And because it's linked to that North Node, we really need to look at telling ourselves the truth about what we have, how we feel about what we have, taking the blinkers off and getting into the depth of the choices that we have, and if those choices that we are making are a true reflection of ourselves. So it can be a really intense 18 months that is coming up for us. As a collective, we're looking out for power struggles with people who we won't allow to let them pull the wool over our eyes anymore, which is very South Node Scorpio, defining our value system, taking our power back, creating the environment that serves us the best, making sure that we feel safe and sustained. There's a lot to do with nurturing and nourishing, and it's about braving consciousness, most importantly. That South Node energy in Scorpio is really going to want us to dig deep. It's also ruled by Pluto, so going into another level of depth is important, and also braving letting go of what no longer serves us is very important in the South Node step. We've got to do that South Node step first before we can then step into the North Node. So one of the big things that we all need to look at is what is Scorpio going to show us and what is Pluto going to let us see that no longer serves us, that actually doesn't truly align with the value of who we are. So there's going to be a lot of that energy that is happening. So it's going to be a jam-packed 18 months emotionally if we use the energy well. Once again, there's no predictions as to how anything is going to unfold. But if you are feeling like you want to understand these nodes a little bit better and you want to personalize it to yourself, then once again, please reach out to me. You can email me, jodine@lifeology.biz. Find me on any of the social networks. Also, look out for the blog, lifeology.biz. We're there all the time to support you in any way that you need it. Book a transformation coaching session if you have your own chart. If you don't have your own chart and you want to find out more about your nodes and how you can work with them, then please go ahead and book an astrology. I'm wishing you a deeply conscious and calm 18 months as we process this energy and truly ask ourselves what we value and who we value and why we value what we have. Take care. Stay safe.